No, maybe it won't be us. I was here, so this is this time I'm right, but I'm all messed up this morning. But no, I don't want to do that. I don't like that. I like that one, our signature right one.
There you go.
Boogie with the Bull, Monday morning caffeine. Dave Glovin and Randy Rhodes are here. I'm going to take a swig of my coffee, and anybody else is welcome to do that as well. We bought chocolate raspberry creamer, and for the first time, I can say chocolate raspberry creamer is actually okay. You don't need any sugar.
Wow. For your coffee. Wow.
Yeah, you don't need any sugar in your coffee. Well, they told me a long time ago that I could drink black coffee with sugar. It was okay, but if I could actually drink black coffee, it would probably be the best. My dad did it for years. I don't know why, other than maybe he just appreciated coffee that way. But
Yeah, my dad and mom always drank their coffee black, and I don't know. There's just something about black coffee. It just does not. I need flavor. I need taste. I need something.
yep,
So I always do a little bit of milk and 2 teaspoons of sugar. Um, but I've been suffering really bad with Charlie horses in my right leg. I mean, it just hits me, and I go down like a sack of potatoes. And my daughter thinks it's because I'm getting too much sugar and not enough of some other stuff. So she's gonna order some groceries today if it gets delivered with the snow, and try and replace what I need to get rid of these damn Charlie horses.
yep.
They're bad.
Well, I should ask you also, being our resident expert in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, what the hell did you guys do that led to the terrible weather you are having?
We got Democrats in control. What can I say? But no. We were due. We were definitely due. Our last big storm of my recollection was when I was still living at home, and I got pictures and video of my dad took, and it covered the cars. That's how much snow we got. I think it was 2007, 2003, something like that. It goes back a long way, and for the past couple of years, I kept saying, to my family, it's been a hell of a long time since we had any type of snow accumulation. And of course, my daughter said, "Well, Dad, we just global warming. We weren't going." You know what? And this year she got nailed because she still lives at home, and thank God she does, because she's going out there shoveling snow for me.
Yep. I want to say good morning to David Novar, who, if I had put the comments up so that I could see them, I would have caught that he was here. But I want to frame it this way, that I was thinking about David Novar before he just happened to appear. I have some questions that are about my computer that I'm going to ask David later. And that's just what I was thinking about. So good morning, David. Good morning to Randy and everybody who is here. We're live on my Facebook profile, and we're live on the Boogie with the Bull YouTube channel, which is www.youtube.com/@DaveGlovin. Very easy to remember. And we welcome anybody and everybody who decides to come this morning. Even people on Instagram and people on Threads. Now your turn, Randy.
Yeah, I had to renew my subscription to Hulu and Disney, right?
Yep.
And I made the payment, and it didn't turn on, and I finally got frustrated enough to make the phone call to customer support.
Okay.
Thankfully, I got someone on the phone, but she asked me about my email address, and I hate to say it, but I'm one of those kind of guys that tries to work the system and get free service as often as I can. And so what I do is I use a different email address, right?
Yep.
And so I knew which one I made the payment on. She said, "Well, can you tell me which one it was?" And I use it's my one I use for my ancestry, so it's long. It's all Rhodes Lido home #2@gmail.com. And I'm trying to spell this out to her. It's like, oh my God. I actually had to pull it up on my screen to be able to spell it for her because it's a long email address.
Yep.
But that my memory's not where it used to be. But you know what?
That's because you're old.
Hey, thanks. But you know what? A couple of things have been popping up that's newsworthy.
Okay.
And the big one right now, and my daughter and I are arguing about it, and that is, the United States took out a major cartel leader in Mexico. And right now, Mexico is on fire. I mean, the cartel is blowing up shit, throwing grenades in the supermarkets. They're taking over airports. They're running through the streets, shooting people, killing people.
They are.
And my daughter said, "Dad, don't you think he would have had enough smartness, but not enough intelligence that we should have expected a retaliation by the cartels by taking out one of their leaders?"
Yep.
And to be honest with you, I kind of agree with that. Because now we have all these people, Americans and other citizens in Mexico. It's called harboring how they put it, harboring in
Harboring place.
Yeah, yes. And unless he's using that excuse to send our Marines in with the intentions of rescuing our American citizens, maybe his excuse to go to Mexico.
I hope that it doesn't get to that. I hope that American citizens that want to leave Mexico, even if it's temporary, and come back to the USA, are able to safely do it. I hope anybody that wants to leave Mexico while it's happening is safe to do so. It may be much different when you come back than it is right now, but I just want the killing every place to stop. Someone took a shot at President Trump. I believe it was yesterday.
No. A 21-year-old individual who went missing from his family for a few days showed up at Mar-a-Lago with a can of gasoline and a shotgun.
That's correct.
And an employee saw him and called for security. Security shows up. And they order him several times to drop what he has in his hand. So he dropped the can of gasoline, but then he raised up his shotgun as if he's going to shoot them.
Right.
Which they had no choice but to
right. So it makes you wonder if he wanted death by suicide or death by police or whatever you want to call it, and just picked out that spot to do it. Now, he was on the grounds, and you have to go through a Secret Service checkpoint if the president is there, I believe. But I believe President
He wasn't.
Trump was at
They
he
weren't
wasn't
there.
there. He was at the White House, so I don't know exactly what the procedures to enter Mar-a-Lago are when he is not there or the first family is not there. Uh, but it's got to stop.
And
And
apparently, there was one earlier in the week that I just heard about Newsmax. Where his helicopter is positioned for him to, hop on and fly somewhere. They actually found a sniper's perch in the area that would face off to the helicopter.
at the White House or at Mar-a-Lago?
Well, it's wherever the helicopter is parked.
Well, the helicopter usually lands at the White House.
So,
Because they usually will use the helicopter to fly over to Joint Base Andrews, where Air Force One takes off from. But
yeah, hang on. Talk amongst yourselves for a second.
I hope the Democrats are not being stupid. They can defeat the Republicans if that's really what they want to do. There's just right ways to go about it.
I think they won't be happy.
Wrong ways.
They won't be happy till someone takes them out. A Democrat lady, I'm not sure what her name was, but she was at this hullabaloo for the Democrats.
Okay.
And she's holding up this sign saying F Trump. Now, if we expect the normal, everyday citizen to stop the attacks on not only the president, but on the Republicans as a whole, the Democrats have got to start acting like adults.
Yep. They do too. They do. If I was the president now, even though I'd have to bring my Secret Service team with me, I would probably be on the road at town meetings right now or state meetings and just explaining to anyone and everyone what we're doing or what at least I can tell people, because you can't always tell people everything. And I know that gets you into trouble too. But, he is one of the most transparent I've seen in quite a long time. And that, what do I want to say? Shot of the Empire, of the Enterprise, because I can't remember that it was Gene Roddenberry's show, which was Star Trek. Now I got it. That shot of the internal Enterprise as your background really looked very cool.
Okay, so I'm being fact checked. So it wasn't the United States who took out the Mexican cartel leader; it was the Mexican army.
Okay.
So I was sending this to my daughter as well because she was blaming Trump. But you would think, okay, so let's just do the reverse. Hey, Trump, just so you know, we got our eyes on blah, 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 blah. We're going to take him out. You might want to pull your people out ahead of time because we might have a retaliation of his followers. So I would think that if they did not do that, then any non-Mexican citizen that is harmed in this new attack, it's on the Mexican government.
Yep. This is true. I still, for the life of me, don't understand why people can't sit, break bread, agree to what we agree to, disagree to what you want to disagree to, and coexist. Even if it's whatever you do in your country is up to you, whatever we do in our country is up to us.
We'll never have peace where we can just sit down. That's what, back in the day, that's what the Olympics was supposed to be about.
Right.
Back in the day, if my history is correct, different countries would come together, bring their best of their best, and they would go toe to toe in various forms of athletics, and whoever won, they kept the peace.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, you sat and ate popcorn and drank a beer or something and enjoyed watching. If you were lucky enough to go international, you probably spent time where it was, if it was outside of the United States. And if you weren't, maybe you were lucky enough to see it in the United States. And I'm sure it's probably even cooler than it looks like it is on TV.
Yeah.
You know, I spent last night looking at the closing ceremonies as they kept showing shots of the stadium that they used. And I'm thinking, that thing's been around for like 1,000,000 years and it hasn't fallen down yet,
Oh yeah.
you
Um,
know? And and
with
some,
Trump,
some of the staging on some of the things you see on the internet that they don't let, I don't think they let people into, but it makes the set that they're using look really cool.
you know, Trump was very happy last night because the Americans beat Canada um, for the first time in what 40 years or something like that.
Yep.
And he was very pleased with that, and he called and wished them all well and so forth. Um, I think one thing that my daughter brought to my attention, and I have to agree with her on this one here, um, and feel free to fact check this one for me, guys. Uh,
Anybody, feel free to
um,
fact check us. And if you're in Canada and you want to talk about Olympic hockey, please feel free to join us in the
no,
conversation.
what I'm leading up to here is the fact that Kash Patel supposedly used the FBI official plane to fly to the Olympics to watch the field hockey, and then afterwards, when they won, showed him back in the locker room. I'm going to assume he's drinking beer or something of that
Okay.
nature, but if he did indeed use taxpayers' money to go see a game and not be any type of official business, along with if he was actually drinking alcohol and having a good old
There.
time, it's not a very good picture.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go a different way with it. That if you're the head of the FBI and you're out having fun and being a person who's allowed to have fun and do it, you have to travel on a plane that belongs to the FBI, just like you have to have your FBI security with you all the time. But I mean, these people don't typically not pay for their plane rides in those planes. If they're doing business, they don't pay for those plane rides. So some of them are smart enough to engineer how to do business and accomplish other things, and some of them just use it for other things. And if Kash Patel is in it, I'm sure if you check the governmental oversight agencies that he will reimburse the FBI for the use of the plane for personal reasons. I believe, though, that the rate they paid back is what it would cost if they used a commercial plane and flew on a commercial plane. But obviously, because of who he is, he can't fly on a commercial plane.
I mean, either way, look at the Democrats. They all flew over to whatever country it was to be part of that
Yep.
meeting where they actually had no reason being there other than the fact that they skipped out
Right.
because of shutting down our government. And then they hop on their damn planes and they fly out there at the taxpayers' expense. So
I understand that if it's not an officially sanctioned trip in the House, I don't know how the Senate works, but in the House, then the Speaker of the House will not approve it. So you're on your own. And that's the way that it should be when it's not official House business. So, and they seem to be okay with that. Donald Trump, when he got elected back in 2016, said to whoever, I want to use my own plane. I want to be able to use my own plane, but we do have to equip it to be a president's plane. And then when I'm not president, I guess you'll have to unequip it. But nothing came of that. But if you have your own plane and you're the president, you should be able to, when it's not official business that you need to be on Air Force One, then yeah, use your own plane. But they all said no, 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 and then they all go ahead and do the same thing. So, to me, it's all just political theater, however they feel at the moment or when they can do it. These hearings that we have in the House tend to be an opportunity for the opposing party, in this case, the Democrats, to speak for their whole 5 minutes. Because I watched something the other day that Jerry Nadler asked Attorney General Bondi a question, and she got upset that she couldn't answer, and his whole question took the 5 minutes that he had to speak. And
well, the Democrats are really good when it comes to asking questions because
but they don't want an answer to
they don't want the answer. They want a yes or no. But the way you ask a question, depending on how you respond back with a 1 or 2 word answer, can go exactly the way they want you to answer. The Republicans, they ask a question that only requires a yes or a no. It's not a trick question.
Right.
Is your name Randall Rhodes? Well, when I was born, my mom and dad, they really didn't know what the name. What is your name?
Well,
and they it's like with marketing. I have a degree in marketing, right?
Yep.
And marketing is just like how the Democrats talk. In marketing, like in a grocery store, you place all the sugary candy, food stuff items at the height of a child. Because if the child is going through a grocery store with his mommy or his daddy, he sees that sugar stuff. He sees that comic book action figure. He sees that cartoon character, and they on purpose. The Democrats ask a question to force an answer that they want, not the truth. And that's bullshit.
And like Maxine Waters got mad at Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent because he gave her the answer that he wanted, but it chewed up all the time that she had available, to the point where she actually asked whoever the chairman of the committee was to shut him up.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, if I was the chairman, I would have kicked her out of that hearing. And I would have done it to a Republican too, if they did the same thing. You asked your question, and like Jim Jordan said, you may not like the answer, but they have a right to answer.
Yeah, exactly. So, what the people are saying that the guy yesterday at Mar-a-Lago, he's supposedly he was a big Trump supporter, and supposedly he was upset with the Epstein files or whatever is coming out of it. And I don't know why, if the guy went, not that I'm suggesting this, but the guy went there with a can of gasoline and a shotgun. Just, setting the can of gas on fire at the close inside the place would have done a heck of a lot of damage. I guess he was trying to get into the actual residence of Trump, and he obviously didn't think it through because he wasn't going to get too damn close. But I agree with Trump. We shut down the Looney Tune bin hospitals. We need to bring them back. And if we start seeing, someone's behavior is a little, weird or strange, they should be tested. And if they test positive for having some issues, then they have to go there until they work out their issues.
That's true.
And it seems that a lot of the attacks at the schools and so forth, the mass shootings have been like this last one with it was a guy who wants to be a girl, and so they're saying, well, the medication he's on and the force to him to transition from a boy to a girl, it messes up his minds, and this is what the
Well,
results are. Well, whose blame is that? It's the Democrats for trying to push the whole idea of boys or girls.
well, then, if you want people to transition, people that can have the choice, not children sitting in a classroom at school, but if you want adults, I guess, that have thought this through and they want to transition, maybe the transition should be in a controlled environment where they are not a threat to themselves or anybody else. That's simple. But I keep hearing that people that do transgender, some of them are angry that they did it, and that's when they become violent. Well, if you're going to be angry because you did it, then you probably haven't thought it through yet.
Yeah.
You
You
know,
know, and I would think that if you haven't gotten to the point where you actually cut things off or added things to, that simply stopping the medication and adding back in what you took out should theoretically, I guess, reverse the process.
well, that or find the right medications are out there, I'm sure, to make you go from one to another if that's what you want to do. And they should be able to put you on those medications and not put you on medications that are going to lead to a violent act. Although I think that if you want to transition, then you should. And if you don't, then you don't want to be taught about it. I keep bringing up Bruce Jenner every time. Bruce waited until he was in his 60s or early 70s, I think, 60s, to become Caitlyn. He made sure that Caitlyn had money in the bank and
Yeah.
it was good to go if she never got a job working again. But the whole thing makes you think that he was a hypocrite because he says when he was 8 years old, he knew he was going to have to do this. Well, if you knew that you were going to have to do this at 8 years old, you tell everybody, and after they beat the shit out of you when you're 18 or 21 years old, then you go ahead and do it. And you might lose people in your life, but we seem to set the stage the wrong way with people. I don't want to argue whether or not a person wants to do it or not. I just want to be sure that they're not going to hurt themselves and they're not going to hurt anybody else.
You know, I'm sorry, unless a child is born, and I know there are specific
Mhm.
medical conditions that a child can be born with both the male and female sex hormones, or they're born with both,
Right.
sex organs,
Mhm.
and it's up to the parent to decide. Did you want a boy or do you want a girl? So we can take care of it now while they're still, young,
Right.
and I can understand that. That I can accept. What I cannot accept is like the one boy I keep seeing on freaking talk shows. He has some blonde hair and he's in a girl's
Okay.
dress and he's dancing around. And I'm sorry, it is sick seeing adult men and women acting like they're at a strip joint, putting dollars into the female or male's
Right.
waistband. And I
Well,
think in cases like that, it is primarily the mother who wanted a girl and wanted to convince her son that no, you're not a boy,
okay.
you're a girl. And then they start doing the whole dressy and makeup and
Mhm.
wigs. And then it's on that parent that you just screwed up your child's life, the rest of that
But
child's life.
but not everybody that put on a dress was screwed up. Milton Berle
Oh
did it,
no, no.
and
They did
we all
it
thought
as an
we
adult.
all thought it was funny. And Flip Wilson did it. We all thought it was funny. Tyler Perry with Madeira. We all would wait in line to see the movies.
Right, but they were adult comedians, and
Yeah.
now there were some who were adult and they were out and out gays. Um, There were some who actually floored me. 'Cause I didn't know it, like Gomer Pyle. That absolutely blew my mind.
Yeah.
Um, and he led a very but he was gay. He wasn't trying to transgender into another
Right.
sex. Um,
Well,
yeah,
he was no. It was his private life,
yeah,
and it didn't need to be public. We just make too many things public that don't need to be public. I mean, and I'm guilty of it too. Come on, talk about the weather because the weather is terrible in the Northeast where you are, and
yeah,
it got very cold last night here in Florida. We experienced 21 degrees here in Florida
yeah.
last night, and you would think that you know the guy that runs the heater in the state of Florida should be fired for last night.
Give me
He
one.
he
Give me
did
one.
not. He didn't do a good job. But I will talk amongst myself while Randy
Yeah,
reads
yeah. Well,
iPad or another device. And
well. Oh, actually, it's my daughter asking for money.
okay, it's his daughter asking for money. I won't talk about that. But what I will tell you is
Well,
that
it's for groceries.
okay, All Roads Lead You Home genealogy is the best of the best, I think, for finding both more than you know about what you know and a lot of what you don't know. And sometimes it's funny and entertaining, and sometimes it's sad, but you know, we all have to take the good with the bad.
Yeah,
But the rates are the most affordable. I used to say them, but they change so often. Even though that they're the most affordable, that I don't want to give you the wrong the wrong the wrong rates. Randy can give you the right rates. You can talk to Randy about more services. But our roads lead to home genealogy. Just crap in a box and mail it to him. That's got to be the worst job. I mean, that's what AI was created for. I would guess that an AI opens the box.
can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I pulled my plug out by mistake.
Okay. But an AI, I assume, opens the box at like colon guard, because I could not imagine having a job that would
Oh yeah, my God.
me to open the box. But I can't imagine me having a job in the medical field doing some things that are done to me. It's like I rely on my retinologist, who is overly trained and very good, to give me my eye injection. But even without that, I could just not imagine me giving a shot in someone else's eye. I just couldn't do it. And
Yeah, some people deserve what they get paid in the medical field, and some
oh
people,
yeah,
it's like when I joined the Air Force, and you go into basic training, you have to get medically checked out, right?
yep,
And uh, you know, you know, all the guys, they go to this one room, they pull down their drawers, and they bend over, and the doctor goes, okay, no hemorrhoids, okay, no hemorrhoids.
yeah,
And myself, damn, you could not pay me enough.
no. I mean, no, you couldn't pay me enough either.
And this is an officer of the
I
Air
mean,
Force or whatever your branch sticking your finger up someone's butt. And it's like, oh my God, geez.
the sad thing in America is they could come to either one of us, you or I, and probably put enough money on the table, and then you would do the job. You wouldn't even think twice about doing it.
No, I don't know.
But
no, I'm sorry. I couldn't do that.
But if you are in the Northeast and you're suffering today from the storm that went through and the snow that went through and whatever, we may joke around about it, but we want to send prayers and good thoughts to you, that we're thinking about you, And Don and I both have family in the Northeast, and our thoughts and prayers go out to them, and our thoughts and prayers go out to anybody else.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, and fact check me if you will,
Oh God.
with the shutdown, did that affect the men and women who are paid to plow roads in the cities? Because I don't ever remember a mayor reaching out to the people of a city saying, "Hey, grab your shovel, get your ID, your social security card, and your place of address, and blah 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 blah, and come here. We'll pay you to clear the snow off the streets and off the sidewalks." I don't remember anyone ever doing that. That is socialism, you know. Um, you have plows for a reason, you have snowblowers for a reason, and it's up to the city to take care of the citizens, not the citizens to take care of the city. Now, if you own a store and you want the people to come into your store, yeah, clean the snow away from your sidewalk. But uh, I don't. I just wish they could find a way to kick his ass out of the office because I'm sorry, uh, socialism does not belong in any part of our politics.
In the old days, you and the rest of the high school football team would have grabbed a shovel and gone out and shoveled for a few hours. And you wouldn't have charged the city. You would have just did it because it was the right thing to do. And to to equate it to a job in a socialist society scares me because what most people don't realize is in order to get inside of Mom Donnie's free grocery stores, you have to have an ID.
Yeah.
They're going to know who you are and that you shop there, you know, and you and you should not have any problem with getting a real ID and being able to vote. Democrats make me laugh because it's like if you read every Democrat post about not getting a real ID or this or that, making changes on your forms, that it's all the more reason why you need to make changes on the form. And you have from today, which is February 23rd, Monday, to Tuesday, November 3rd, at whatever time the polls close, 8 o'clock, wherever you are, or later, to go and make sure that your paperwork is all in order if you want it to be in order. And if you don't want to go and make it appropriate so that you can vote, a Democrat is most likely going to send somebody to vote for you.
Yeah. Um, the elections are screwed. You should be forced to do it in person and with a current photo ID. This is no other way around it. The whole thing of paper IDs on paper,
Right.
vote-in records, or being able to do it in the mail, taking, allowing 2, 3, 4 weeks to count all the stuff. No.
No, no, no. I mean, some people do have a reason for having a mail-in ballot. I qualify for a mail-in ballot as a disabled American, but if I can do it, I'm out and I vote. I'm out at the polls and I vote. But if I can't, a mail-in ballot is going to make sure that I'm able to vote. But I don't believe in most areas those mail-in ballots are open until after the ballots at the polls are counted first. They get counted first, then the mail-in ballots or from like the disabled like me get counted second, and then that's the total. And we can't have someone like Mike Pence as president of the Senate who decides not to hear protests because he didn't even have a vote that day. As Senate president, he didn't get a vote. Well, he did if it was a tie, but it had to be a 50-50 tie for him to break. And maybe the pressure was too much and he voted for Joe Biden. Or, well, no, he didn't vote. He didn't vote. And he didn't hear the protests. And, as a result, a lot of people went to jail, some that shouldn't have gone to jail. And
Let me ask you this. Since they're actually starting to find out that the election for 2020 was indeed stolen, is there any way that Trump can get a third 4 years of
most
being in the White House?
most of the people that I talk to that have experience in that say no. But I think they're saying no because it opens up a whole can of worms that will take probably more than 4 years to figure out. Because if it was stolen, which it was, but if it was stolen and we can prove that it was stolen, then everything Joe Biden did as president is illegal. And
Right.
he did a hell of a lot to this country during his 4 years of being the president. So you can't just say it was stolen and walk away from it because he's a nice old man that forgot what he did and other things that Robert Hur said. Because Robert Hur should have said, you're not eligible to be president anymore because you can't control yourself. And that's pretty much what the 25th Amendment is about. He should have been shown the door and led to a place to retire, and Kamala Harris should have become president. I don't think Kamala Harris would have been reelected, but you got to do what you got to do. Tariffs in the Trump administration, it's all in the Constitution somewhere. I don't know where, but the House gave the president the right to charge tariffs and gave him, I guess, sole control to run that as a function of the executive branch. So when this got to the Supreme Court, it should have just left the Supreme Court the same day. It's in the Constitution. It's right. So we really can't do anything about it. We can't declare it illegal because it's in the Constitution the way it was supposed to be put into the Constitution. Now go away and let us do whatever we do.
I hope and pray that I know he's slowly undoing some of the things that Biden did. And it's just a shame that he just can't do a swooping, wiping out everything that was done by Biden and all the judges that were voted, that were brought in. They're all gone because they would have been selected illegally because he really wasn't a legitimate president.
But then the only thing that bothers me is what if a judge who's doing the job of a judge, do you make them lose their job because they were appointed under the Biden administration? Or do you work something, do you look at every particular judge that he appointed?
I just think that
and are you guilty all of a sudden because you got appointed by the person you thought was president?
I wouldn't say guilty as in like facing criminal time, but definitely, if you were hired under false pretenses, then you shouldn't have that position.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. If you were hired under false pretenses, but it's just a mess. I mean, I'd like to sweep it all under the rug and just say that, yeah, it was illegal. And yes, we owe him time. But by the same token, he continued to get paid for a retired president while he didn't serve as president. But the crimes against him that he's accused of committing, no, those should go away. And it's hard to do that because you have to appeal the crimes that he might be guilty of. That's why I don't understand what happened in New York, because in the end the judge said you're not guilty. You're not going to prison, but you're guilty of everything you did, and I'm giving you time served. Well, that judge should have got time served for making that decision.
Just 1 second.
Anybody that wants to join us on my profile or the Boogie with the Bully YouTube channel is welcome to join us on the channel and be a part of the conversation. And
the other day I mentioned to you about you ought to check out the program, the Y-Files.
yes.
And it's kind of, and I've said this before, I think my computer is listening to me, because soon after I got off the show with you, I started working and having my background noise, which one of the things is the Y-Files. He had this guy on who, and again, like I mentioned, the host of the Y-Files, he vets everything he does, so that he has people who check in, they do the background check, they check the historical records, and make sure everything that he's going to talk about is legitimate. So he brought this guy on who had this experience, him and his son, and I think 3 or 4 of the guys, they were out fishing, and lo and behold, here comes this flying saucer with these alien creatures, and they had this experience, and he still does today. He still has these connections. He was in the news too. Actual broadcast news, where he has the ability, because back in the day, the alien made a connection to him, healed him of his cancer and some other things, but left him with the ability that whenever he wanted to, he can call on these aliens to come, and they'll come and pay him a visit. And he did it. He did it in front of cameras. He does this thing, and next thing you know, boom, there they are. And the camera guys, said, "My God, it's real. I mean, he can do this." And what one of the things towards the 1 hour and 8 minute mark of the show, this guy brings in the host of the show, asked him, what do you think about what came out in the news recently about Obama talking about Area 51 and aliens, and then what Trump had to say. He said that the aliens told him that this is the year that they're going to make themselves physically known to the world, and that a couple of things may happen depending on how the humans react. He said that the aliens will intervene if Israel and Iran start shooting missiles back and forth at each other, because that's going to bring in a potential for a nuclear war, and they don't want us, wiping out our planet. So they would step in and stop that. But he just went on and gave more detail. You gotta watch the show. I put it on my Facebook profile.
Okay.
But the guy's legit. I mean, the guest was checked out by the CIA, the Secret Service, the Pentagon. This guy went through the rigor. He was verified. Yep. In fact, his church actually kicked him out because he's talking about space aliens, which kind of goes against the whole, God and Jesus and angel kind of story. So his church actually kicked him out. They said, either you stop talking about this, we're going to stop you from coming to church. And he didn't. So that's what happened. But, this year's going to be interesting. What's going to happen?
It is.
Anyways.
I want to apologize to David Novar. There were 2 comments that he made that didn't come up on the producer screen, but they did come up on a tablet that I keep to the side. That, according to David, the commie leftist, excuse me, Randy, you are incorrect. Excuse me, Mexican security were the ones who took out the cartel leader, not Trump, and that commie leftist retards named Trump for everything, which they do. All they do is lie. And I apologize to David just because I didn't see it on the other monitor. I have to buy a new case for it, or else it falls down and goes boom, which I did earlier this morning. But I didn't get hurt, and it was accidental. I didn't think that, or I thought that I was on the on the bed, and the next thing I knew, I was not on the bed. But
Yeah.
my comment was it's another thing for PT and OT to teach me to make sure I do right, and that sooner or later everything you do will become a function of PT and OT.
PTOT. Yeah,
Occupational
I mean,
therapy,
yeah.
but I don't like saying occupational therapy because no one finds it funny that if I make it through occupational therapy, I will get a job that pays better than the job I have now.
um, you know, I'm getting to that point, and unfortunately, because I have the knee replacements and being old and overweight, and the doctor keeps saying you got to lose weight, Randy. Well, it's kind of hard to lose weight when I can't be physically active.
This is true.
Um, but I'm at a point now where, uh, like right now, the snow, I'm not going outside because I can't take the chance of my knees buckling, or
No,
I slip and I fall and I break a hip or a neck or a head, or or something else. So I'm stuck indoors, and
but
I have not been outside in over a year. And
but they
that's
will
pretty sad.
they'll give you exercises that you can do at home.
Yeah,
That
I
you
did
usually
do
okay.
those.
Most of us don't. Well, most of us don't always do them. It was easy to say this time around I will do them all at home, but me saying it and my body actually being okay to do it were two different things. But with the time that I have uh, between sessions right now, I will do it at home. Plus, I like doing most of it anyway. This time,
Yeah, I saw this video on old folks doing exercise at home, and I'm going to give it a try. But I got to first find out what's causing my right ankle and calf area locking
okay,
up and getting
yeah,
having Charlie horses. Um,
yeah,
uh,
that's
if I do
that's
anything that
something to check
kind of like
into.
tightens that muscle, it just locks up, and
Yeah,
I'm on the ground. I'm on the
yeah,
floor, screaming and crying in pain. My daughter thinks it can be fixed by eating spinach and small stuff, magnesium kind of
oh,
stuff.
good.
So
She
that's what
didn't say
she's doing right now.
she
So
didn't
we'll
say
see.
it can probably be fixed by cutting it off.
No, 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 God, no.
Yeah,
My brother, unfortunately, here's my medical PSA for you guys today. And I have to jump off, but
okay,
especially for those who might have high cholesterol or sugar levels, stuff like that. My brother had a sore toe. It started off in the big toe. It started off being sore. He ignored it. It got worse. He ignored it. It got infected. He ignored it. He finally went to
oh,
the doctor. The doctor said the toe's got to come off. So they cut the toe off. Well, because he waited so long, gangrene kicked in.
oh
And
God,
he went to the doctor and said, "Well, we got to take your leg off up to such and such place." And so he had that taken off. And then, nope, it's too bad. And now it's above the kneecap. Um, but when we get to a certain age and you have certain medical conditions, you can't ignore the signs.
no,
The
no,
body is telling you, hey, you got a sore, you got it checked out. Don't ignore it.
yep,
Um, it's just not meant to be.
yep,
Your body tells you something's wrong. You listen to it.
yep.
And now he's minus one leg.
Don't be the one that's minus from the world. You know,
But at least I
I'm
still
having
haven't
too
heard
much
anything.
fun being here, so
Yeah.
I can't
Hey,
imagine going somewhere else.
you didn't say anything about my background.
I did say something about your background. Watch from the beginning again.
I don't think so.
I said that you were watching that your background. I couldn't remember that it was Star Trek, and I had trouble getting the word Enterprise out of my mouth.
Yeah.
But I said
Yeah.
I think it's really cool. Although I wish you fit a little closer. No. I just wish you fit a little closer to the people, so that it made you look like one
Well,
of what made you look like the commander of the Enterprise.
hang on a
Although
second.
I'm
Hold
sure
on.
William Shatner would probably come after us for
Copyright protection.
for
Yeah.
copyright protection, and I don't want to be
Let me tell
copyright
you something.
protected.
With that.
But before you go,
I got. Hang on. I got to show
before
you
you
something.
go, okay. But before you go, I just want to make sure you cover what's new and exciting for Randy Rhodes and shows that you have planned. You mentioned other people that are going to be on those shows, and I'll plug mine. Wait a minute. Let me go.
Show the picture.
Come on, there.
Oh,
all right. Well, it was there. There. Yeah.
So the three guys around me are actually friends of mine on Facebook, and that is their faces, but their faces were changed to reflect characters. But that's pretty cool. I'm having fun with my Chat GPT.
Except if we show up in a shirt or not a shirt with a bare chest.
Yeah. No, so I do genealogy. That's a study of family research. Been doing it for over 10 years.
Yep.
Extremely cheap, and the reason why I'm extremely cheap is because I get a monthly check from the government because I worked all those years and I earned it. So I don't need to ask a lot. Professionals, and that's what I am. I'm professional, but people who rely on genealogy for their way of life, they can charge upward to $3,000. And I actually have years back, one of my clients sent to me what a $3,000 investment looks like. It was 16 pages, and it was a bunch of nothing. It was nothing specific. It was nothing obvious. It was like maybe we're not sure, but give me $3,000, and she had to pay that up front, right? And at the end of the day, she got a 16-page report. That's absolutely nothing.
Right.
I have people who've been with me 4 or 5 years because I keep finding neat stuff. And the reason why is I use over 16 different services. I track down the books, the novels, the movies, all kinds of stuff. And I make the connections. And it's not an iffy connection. I make sure that the connection is real. There are certain sites I won't use because other people put their stuff out there, and if they made a mistake, well, then you just got their mistake on your research, and I don't do that. But I do. I love it. 10 hours a day or more. Sometimes I'm working on the stuff.
It's more than 10 hours a day, and you know it.
Well, I gotta get my 2 naps in the day.
You live, eat, breathe, sleep, and drink genealogy.
Yeah, but it's fun. It's exciting. You find neat stuff about people. There are some people who are more of a challenge than others, but it just means that I got to work harder to find that. I had one person, and I do both sides. So if you're married, I do you and your wife, or wife and your husband, whatever the situation is, and I do both sides of the family. And I reached out to my clients. If you're married, I can do your wife's side too. Well, I'm married, but she wants nothing to do with her side of the family. And I don't know what changed, but 11:30 at night, he reached out to me and said, "Hey, Randy, my wife decided she wants you to research her family." And within an hour, I had like 100 people, which 2 were Confederates. She's tickled pink, and this is what I do.
I think the way social media is now, people walk away from it. But people who manage to find their families go somewhere and be their families. And it's a
Yeah.
beautiful, it's a good thing to see when that happens.
I used to work for Ancestry, the company, back when I was working from home,
Yep.
and the 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 the, the best things that I ever experienced was when I was able to find a person's son, daughter, mom, or dad. And I had this one lady reach out, call in. She had a question. She sounded young on the phone, but everyone sounds young on the phone. And she said, I have a question. I have something I don't understand. I said, well, how can I help you? And she said, well, according to, my DNA results, I have a brother who's Japanese. And I
Yep.
understand that.
Yep. Well,
And I
somewhere a Japanese brother came into the family.
and I said,
That's
and
not bad.
I had to respond very carefully. And I said, was your father ever in the military? And she said, well, yes, he was. And I said, was he ever perhaps stationed in Japan? She said, oh, yeah, he was. And I said, you got to talk to your dad.
Yeah. But
DNA does not lie.
but the
Uh,
interesting thing that I wanted to ask you is that your cousin, who I won't name, is related to King David, I think. And I'm I'm related to King David through
no,
according to what you said. So does that mean that she and I are related? And because she's related to you, does that mean that you and I
no,
are
no, no.
related?
God, no, no, no. The person
Okay,
that when I was working on yours, and I got to a point where I found that rabbi who was king for a day, and
right.
I did some more research on it,
Rabbi Saul.
and the person who did did more research on it as well indicated his relationship to King David, which means then because he's related to that rabbi and King David, that means that if I would have stayed with yours and kept working on it, I would have
Okay,
made a connection to you that you would eventually been related to King David.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it is, it, you have to
It's just
know
fun.
what
It's
what
fun.
what sites to go. It's very time consuming. It's a lot of fun. It's like putting a puzzle together. You get that
Yep.
1,000, 3,000, 5,000 piece puzzle, right?
Yep.
And everyone always starts working on the outline first, right? I don't. I work on what looks like it's going to make sense first. Then I start adding in the border. But then you get to that point where, damn, the puzzle's almost together, and you're missing that one piece. And you start looking around and on the floor and somewhere that that one very important piece. And I call that a brick wall. And sometimes when I walk away from a person's tree for a couple of days, the algorithms eventually kick in with
Yep.
Ancestry, and boom, there's the answer. I had this one client. His mom came from England, and she passed away, but uh, and his dad is like in his 90s, so his memory is not too good. No one kept records. No one kept historical documents, and I cannot get beyond his mom on that side because I need her
Okay.
parents' names, and
Yep.
without the parents' names, uh, I'm dead in the water. And that's sad. That's one whole branch that
It
I
is
won't be able
sad.
to do for him.
Yep.
Or
It
like
is
my
sad.
wife's, and I'll leave with this. My wife, her dad was Claude V. Moore, and back in the 1800s, I got back there. His great great grandfather was a Quaker, and he dilly dallied in someone's house where he shouldn't dilly dallied, and he got caught, and he had to face judgment. So,
Okay.
so I had this Quaker's notes, and it says so and so Moore moved out west, never to be heard from again, and that's where that whole line ends.
Okay.
Um,
Well, you will come back on Wednesday and you can tell us more.
yep. I gotta go and take care, guys.
All right. Thanks, Randy.
Yep.
Okay. Randy Rhodes from All Roads Lead to Home Genealogy. Good guy. You'll like what he finds. You may not like what he finds, but overall, you'll be very happy with what he finds. And he can go as far as you want, and or he will go further. David, I'm sorry that we had trouble, and I have your comments on Facebook. I don't have your comments on Restream, so I'm not seeing them this morning. Uh, but also called transitions are a complete failure, 100%! Exclamation point. No man has ever turned into a woman, and no woman has ever turned into a man. Gender dysphoria is a mental illness. Cutting, I can't say the word, off does nothing. Well, that may be very true. Our our decision here on Boogie with the Bullets to try to present both sides, and that's where we go. We allow both sides to be presented because everybody thinks differently, and if you don't, then you think the way you think. Anyway, we are here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 10 a.m. to about 11 o'clock Eastern Time, so adjust yourself accordingly. And we're usually always on Facebook, on my profile, and on the Boogie with the Bull YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/@Dave And sometimes we will link X and try to make something there, and sometimes we will link Street Lock and see what we do over there, and sometimes we will link Wimkin and try to link what we can do over there. We just hope that people watch. I like doing these things. I like people to come and be a part of the conversation, and we'll do what we can do, however we can do it. Anyway, I think we have run out of time for today, so we'll be back on Wednesday at 10 a.m. Eastern. Tonight's Monday, so you can see me on the American Rebellion with Jerry Michaels and Chuck Cook and whoever else shows up tonight. Sometimes Jen Woodruff is there, and you will like it. So watch the American Rebellion tonight. And tomorrow, Straight Talk with Jen will be trivia, Tuesday trivia. So tune in there and have fun. I'm not sure if I will be on the broadcast or I will be in the chat room. It kind of depends on my mood, because sometimes I just enter the wrong answer for fun. Sometimes I enter the right answer to be right. Or if I'm on the broadcast, sometimes I blurt it out too fast and don't give anybody else a chance, and I don't want to do that. So if you see me do that, tell me to shut up and give you a turn. It's actually okay. Anyway, I'm Dave Glovin, and you're not, and I thank you for watching Boogie with the Bull. Monday Morning Caffeine for Monday, February 23rd, 2026. And David, thank you for joining us this morning. And we didn't see anybody else in the chat room on the live producer screen, and I don't see anybody else in the chat room on the monitor that I have over here. I have to buy a new case and be able to stand it up properly so I can just look at it and see who's there. Anyway, more about that later. I don't feel like bitching about the hardware today. Other than to say, we don't try to monetize. We don't worry about that. When we can't afford to do it anymore, we won't. Or when there might be another reason, we won't. So there. That's all I have to say on that.